Hello everybody, welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. I'm joined by our dietitian from Hy-Vee. It's Aryn. She's back, and today we're going to be talking about grilling. And no, we can't grill inside this area here because
not today.
Not there. But that's not going to stop us from having some fun today.
You bet.
And you've got some great stuff to show and talk about. And we're going to start with choosing the right cut of meat. This is like my segment, so don't screw this up.
Yes.
So when you're going down the aisle and you're looking as a dietitian, I like that you chose like a thick cut of steak today. I mean, it's really good on a visual, but are you really going to let people pick that as a dietitian?
Yes.
What?
Yes, yes. So first and foremost, Hy-Vee gets all of our meats from the Midwest. So they're locally sourced. So we have meats coming in from all over the Midwest, from great farmers, raising great meat. So with that, as thick as a steak, excellent option. It's not something you want to eat every day, but when you're grilling out this summer, it's great to share with your friends and family. And then a thick cut like this could be a really good source of iron as well. It's also lean, and it's more of a, I always recommend going for more of a loin or a sirloin cut. So then it's a little less marbled and it's more lean.
I was just going to ask you that when you're looking at cuts of meat, if you see some fat on it, not some fat on it, what do you recommend for keeping it or discarding it?
You know, it goes down to personal preference and what your dietary needs are. So I recommend, you know, you may want to cut it off before you cook it, or cook it with the meat on it. Sorry, cook it with the fat on the meat.
Keep the meat and cook the fat, got it?
And then cut it off after. That way you'll still get the flavor from that fat soaking into the meat and cooking with it really well, but then you can take the big chunks off so you don't need to indulge in that extra saturated fat.
What if you're just totally like, I'm looking at, there are plenty of meat choices when you go down the aisle. Talking to the butcher who's ever running the meat department could be a good option too, to kind of get a little better idea of flavors, cuts, that sort of thing?
Exactly. Our Hy-Vee meat counter employees are experts. They're definitely experts in their craft and in the meat field, I guess. So ask them for help. Let them know what you're looking to grill or what you're envisioning, and they'll give recommendations based on those needs.
All right, well, we've picked a thick cut of steak. We're ready to get grilling. What do you recommend that you do first? I love this tip here because I think it makes things taste just a heck of a lot better.
Season both the top and the bottom. Really rub in that seasoning to really let it settle in, and don't cook it right away. Also, you can put it back in the refrigerator and let it kind of settle in as well too. You can also do a marinade, and I recommend a marinade the night before, so it gives it extra time to really get into those into the meat. And
I did ask you off air, I was asking you when you're choosing those flavors and stuff, what would you recommend? Because there's a lot of things in these marinades and the salts and everything. What do you recommend that we look for if we're picking that great spice?
I always recommend making your own homemade seasoning or marinade, first and foremost, because then you're going to cut down on preservatives, and that will cut back on any excess sodium or sugar in those marinades or seasonings. If you don't have time for that, completely understand. We have a ton of seasonings, marinades on our shelves at Hy-Vee. So find one that's a lower sodium seasoning and possibly a lower sugar marinade.
Well, don't take total fun out of it, but making your homemade, that might be a good segment to work on, but
we could definitely do that.
We'll look at that a little bit later. All right, you're ready to put it on the grill. What do you do? Let's hear it. Secret from Aryn.
I use the 60-40 cooking method. So one side, 60% of your time cooking. So if you're cooking for 8 minutes, or let's say 10, because that's a little easier, 6 minutes on one side, 4 minutes on the other. That's a very long time for cooking for meat. So of course, just use your
What about searing it too?
That's a great option. Be cautious when you are searing that you are cooking your meat all the way through so that it's safe to eat.
And safety. We want to check the temperature on our steaks when we're cooking them. Some people like it, a little bit on the rare side.
Yeah.
Some people like it completely burnt.
Right.
Okay, your choice. But what are those temperature ranges?
Oh God, you're testing me right now.
Yep, don't look down at the sheet.
I don't really recommend a rare steak as often, but that would be temperature at 125. A good medium steak would be at 140, and then a well-done steak would be 160.
Now, how do you avoid cutting into the steak to check it out?
Use your meat thermometer. So make sure you get, make sure it's calibrated, and if you don't have one, you can definitely buy one at our store.
Yeah, that's the tricky part. I think finding a good meat thermometer that works well and
Yes.
checking it. I like to check it all around, not just the center, or else you could totally screw some things up. But
Right. You don't want to get sick. You don't want to make your guests sick. So definitely be cautious and check your temperatures.
And finally, a little fluff to the steak or whatever you're grilling. You've got some great examples out here of other things to do. Because I said, hey,
Yes.
what about grilling pineapple? And you're like, oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And you don't want to forget your vegetables. So we have some shish kebabs, whatever you want to call them. We have some veggie ones and then also some fruit ones. Make it a little more fun. Really great on the grill.
And how long do you recommend cooking these fine items here?
It really depends on what you're all putting on it. For the fruit one, I wouldn't say more than 6 minutes. That might even be pretty long based on how hot your grill is. So definitely keep your eye on it. It's not going to take long. You just want a nice warm temperature and a nice sear on it.
All right, vegetables can vary though, right? Because I've always found that hard. Like, do you want them crisp? Do you want them, there's a lot of options there, right?
Exactly. But with vegetables, just remember, you don't have the food safety concern like you do the meat if you're just doing a vegetable shish kebab. So again, it can be a shorter time just so that you have those great grill marks and it's a nice warm texture.
I like grilling so much, and this is great information. If people want to learn more about grilling safety tips, picking out the meat, where can they find that information?
Go to Hy-Vee.com/health and find me, your dietitian, or even just stop by the store and ask customer service for my number.
A thick cut of steak, you could cut that in half, and turn it into like 2 meals.
You definitely could.
Like slice it down the middle.
Absolutely.
But I wouldn't
This
do that.
steak could even go like 4 portions.
Right? It really could, but
The
why
more
would you want to
veggies
do
you
that?
add.
Yeah, no, grilling's a fun, and I think everybody's always looking for a new way of doing it, but getting back to the basics, not a bad thing because we're always rushed, so this is
Exactly.
good stuff. Aryn, thank you so much for the great grilling tips, and no more quizzing you on the meat
The temperatures.
temperature. Thank you.